In Denmark, the construction of the Copenhagen underground metro is underway, several meters below sea level and with gigantic equipment. The site can feel claustrophobic to most, but the company's in-house writer, is at ease. As she moves further away from an exit, a worker shows her how to use a breathing apparatus, which will provide her with 30 minutes of oxygen in case she gets trapped due to an industrial accident. Reaches a gigantic machine called the tunnel boring machine, which is the main machine used for drilling and cutting through the earth. After interviewing several workers, she meets Evo, who is in charge of the Cutterhead, the machine's main drilling component. He takes her through narrow paths to reach the Cutterhead as she manages to squeeze through and explains that today he will be inspecting the Cutterhead's blade so that they can begin drilling towards another metro station which is close by. Evo's assistant, Bharan, comes in with dozens of water bottles, and takes a picture of them for her article. That's when the foreman, Adrian, orders to step outside because the process will develop high atmospheric pressure and an emergency situation can arise without warning. Disappointed, steps out and Eva locks the door behind her. Once Adrian begins the pressurizing process, peeps in through the window and watches Bharan equalize the pressure between his ears and the high pressure in the cabin. He also shows her how the high pressure squeezed up his bottle. Suddenly, an alarm starts beeping, indicating a leak in carbon monoxide, a poisonous gas. Adrian asks Evo to quickly abort and return to the main chamber and close the Cutterhead's door. More alarms begin to go off as and Adrian spot smoke, and Adrian is informed that there is a fire on the other side of this tunnel boring machine. Begins to get nervous, so Adrian hands over a breather to her and takes her to the refugee chamber, where she can remain safe for a few hours till the problem is resolved. He locks her inside and turns on the external air supply. As she begins to get anxious, the lights go for a few seconds before coming back on. She peeps out again and there is complete darkness, indicating that the power is off and her refugee chamber is now running on battery lights. Looks around the chamber and spots another window. The good news is she is next to Evo and Bharan's chamber. Evo tells her that she will be safe in the refugee chamber and must remain calm, but the chamber keeps getting hotter and hotter due to the fire outside. Starts to sweat and removes all non-essential clothing. The temperature has touched 50 degrees centigrade, and she urges Evo to open the door. Evo asks her to turn off the valve that is letting in the hot air from the fire outside, but doesn't understand these mechanics and insists that he open the door. The door can only be opened after equalizing the pressure between both chambers. As Evo gets ready to equalize, he asks to compensate for the increase in the pressure using her diving experience so that her eardrums don't get damaged, but the technique doesn't work for long and the rapid change in pressure causes extreme distress in her ears. She manages to pop her ears, but the high-pitched ringing causes her unbearable pain. Evo tells her that the door can be opened only from her side, and she finds the wheel tightly bolted using a bar. She manages to loosen it and quickly starts turning the bolt, unscrews it and removes the latch. Bharan helps her open the door and pulls her in. As Evo turns off the external air bolt and quickly shuts the door, starts gulping down huge amounts of water to hydrate herself. After the profuse sweating she experienced, wants Evo to call someone for help, but he tells her that the phones and electricity are down because the fire must have melted all cables. Disheartened, she sits down, but allows a grave thought to cross her mind. Will they all die here? Bharan asks Evo if he is sure that they will be rescued. Evo scolds them, saying they do not know how dangerous the conditions outside are and there is nothing they can do on their own. He tells them to shut up and savvy in oxygen and wait for the rescue team. Just then, her phone beeps. Evo asks her if she has a mobile signal, but it was just her alarm that went off. It's time to pick her daughter up from school. She wants to know how many hours the cabin's oxygen would last, and Evo is not sure, could be 2 hours or 10. Restless, takes matters into her own hands and Triesto open the door when Evo warns her that the fire outside the cabin could be sleeping, meaning the oxygen outside has depleted, and if they open the door, their cabin's oxygen may feed the fire and awaken it. But argues that they may die here waiting for help, and Bharan too starts feeling that everyone probably thinks they are dead already. Evo explains that there is a medical room nearby with oxygen breathers. Assuming that the fire is dead, one of them could decompress in the refugee chamber, make their way through the smoke, pick up the breathers in return, but to compress and decompress that quickly can cause bubbles in the blood and cause complications. So the safest option is to stay and wait. Sometime later, Rai claims she has to pee and goes into the refugee chamber to do so, asking for the door to be shut for privacy. But what she seems to be attempting is to sneakily shut the door and lock Evo and Bharan inside the main compartment, but she fails to do so, and Evo pushes the door open, realizing she's up to something. He sees Rai's breather in the refugee chamber and realizes that she wanted the oxygen all for herself. They start fighting physically, and suddenly the battery lights also die out. Eventually a flashlight is turned on and Bharan ties her up. Bharan feels betrayed and Rai apologizes, explaining that she wanted to survive because her daughter has no one else. Evo yells, saying that his children have no one else too, and starts getting distressed, banging his head against the wall. By now, Bharan too is short of breath. Evo decides to take the breather and go to the medical room and check for more breathers. Bharan suspects that Evo is trying to escape alone and tries to grab the breather. Bharan family needs him too, and house them a lot of money. Evo promises that he will return and gets ready when he hears sounds of people outside. They start yelling and banging on the door to get their attention. The rescue team has arrived. As Bharan cuts Rai loose, the team tells them that they are going to open the door. They tell Evo to decompress the cabin quickly so that the door can be opened safely. Evo moves to the valves and dumps the pressure. All three lie down as the rescue team begins preparing for evacuation, but Evo seems unwell. The quick decompression creating bubbles in his blood. Rai asks Bharan how much money houses his family, and he says $8,000. Rai assures him that she will give him the money once they get out of here. Suddenly, fire erupts outside and finishes the rescue team. They can hear the fire crackling outside and water starts entering the cabin. Plastic bottles and their boots start melting due to the heat. The cabin starts getting filled up with smoke and Bharan rushes inside the Cutterhead to unscrew the outer door. With Rai giving him light, Bharan and Rai manage to crawl out in time before the fire engulfs the cabin. Bharan pulls out the breather, and as they struggle to pull out an almost unconscious Evo, he falls down and becomes motionless. Bharan and Rai manage to move toward him and find him fatally injured. Evo tells Bharan to tell his family in Croatia that everything did was for them and then breathes his last. Rai is at a loss for words and watches Bharan cry uncontrollably. A few moments later, Rai hears sounds of metals clanking and figures that they are close to another station. She digs through some mud and finds a hole. She informs Bharan, but he is unresponsive due to shock over Evo's death. She manages to shake him out off it and takes him to the hole. Once he squeezes in, she hands over the breather to him, and he manages to pull her inside. She manages to bring her phone's light on, and with Bharan passed out, she keeps digging frantically. In every direction she digs, she hits metal. She tries her best to not lose hope. After coming this far, she finds Bharan's body temperature dropping and tells him that they have to keep each other warm till someone finds them, but that doesn't work for long because they are still lying in the mushy mud and are running out of oxygen, and Bharan has passed out again. Rai pulls out the breather and uses it for a few breaths before forcing it into Bharan's mouth in an attempt to revive him. Some time passes in which Rai and Bharan share the only breather, each taking a few breaths and then passing it back. Each time they pass the breather, they get more selfish. Bharan may be in a weakened state, but gets more aggressive with the breather. Rai reminds him that he should let her live so that she can give his family the money. Eventually, a struggle for survival ensues, and Bharan attempts to kill her so that he may survive. Moments later, a rescue team finds them and they are pulled from the tunnel. Did they try to kill each other or did they save each other? Here are some more movie recaps that you may enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching Film Decode.